All right. We are the closers by committee, and we're a committee of two.
All right, all right, all right.
All right. All right.
Not baseball related or podcast related, but I got to bring this up. I was watching women's curling yesterday, and
Well, of
the
course you had to bring
Japanese
that up.
the Japanese team and the US team were shaking hands before the match, and they're going through just greeting each other, and then right toward the end, this Japanese girl turns around and says, "All right, all right, all right."
Nice.
It's
Nice.
hilarious.
Turn that around. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing that you're researching curling when baseball season is right on the horizon here. The
Mm.
teams have reported to spring and spring training. I think today was the first day for a lot of teams. Um, but this is our first episode of Closers by
Curling
Committee.
has actual matches going on right now.
Well, that's true. Are you going to take the position against the World Baseball Classic again, or
Yeah, fuck that.
fuck that shit? Because I saw Paul Skeens is pitching in that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's pitching for Team USA. I mean, that's the Pirates have to be a little bit nervous about that.
I don't know. It's all MLB.
Yeah, I was just it took me off guard when you took that position last year or 4 years ago now, I guess, because typically you're kind of a fan of international baseball. You like it seemed like in previous years, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought that you really kind of rooted for the Israeli team one
I
year.
don't even remember an Israeli team.
Yeah, I forget who there was a couple big leaguers on that team. It was kind of interesting, but anyway, but that's neither here nor there. What we're going to do this, we're going to break it down into four phases, right? We're going to lead off with the news, and then we're going to have a section of the show that we call bottom of the third, which is where the game's kind of settling in, and your opener has already been taken out of the game for a series of about 5 or 6 relievers. And then we get to middle relief. That's where you get to your short relievers, a bridge to your short relievers, I should say. And that it's going to be more of a pop culture oriented section. And then finally, we're going to end the program with our big feature, and that's always be closing, where we take a look at the most interesting battles in baseball, which of course are the closer uh, battles that are going on that are so critical, not only to real baseball but to fantasy baseball, which is going to be ever present on our minds. Fantasy baseball is definitely a theme that's going to be interwoven into this fabric of a
Yeah.
podcast.
Steals and saves. That would have been another good name.
Steals and saves, yeah, yeah. Steals and saves. But that okay. So we'll save that for our fantasy section because I do have some thoughts because we have some new categories in our league that we want to talk about. But let's go ahead and start with just some news. I think the biggest news that came out of today. Have you heard this, Aaron? Tony Clark is planning to resign as executive director of the Players Union.
I saw the headline. I didn't read any details.
Yeah. There's all kinds of speculation going on. One is that this could be related to an investigation into misuse of licensing money, but there's also this page six story where he's having some sort of relationship with his sister-in-law. So I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but the weird part about it, of course, is that this is the last year of the current CBA, and they're going to, the players are going to be basically headless going into this last year. I mean, I'm
They'll
sure,
have it. They'll have somebody in charge. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure they'll have somebody in charge. But this guy's been around for I don't know 20 something years in his capacity. So
too long, maybe.
yeah, it's either it's a strange time for this to happen, or it's just the right time, like you said, because we're
Yeah.
getting ready to do a new CBA. But of course, the owners have expressed this intent to kind of break the dominance of the Dodgers and the Mets, and to some extent the Phillies, by implementing some sort of salary cap, and in addition to that, some sort of floor. Now, what kind of what kind of lockout or holdout that's going to require? That's usually where the shit hits the fan. The owners give up
Yeah.
at
The
some
owners will cave this time. There's not going to be a lockout. That's my prediction.
Well, the owners basically cave every time because they you hold out, you lock them out for so
They don't
long.
want the optics of a lockout right now, though.
Right.
They're looking at expansion for one thing.
Well, yeah.
Um,
International markets, maybe.
Yeah, Manfred kind of wears it as a badge of honor that he hasn't had a work stoppage other than COVID on his watch. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, there might be a salary floor. I doubt there will be a salary cap. And there won't be a lockout.
Well, the Dodgers have been acting as if they have no concerns whatsoever about any kind of salary cap, at least.
Clearly, they don't.
I mean, they got a sweetheart deal with Ohtani, where I believe they're paying him something ridiculous, like $2 million a year, with all of his $900 million or whatever backloaded into infinity. But that did not preclude them from going out and signing Kyle Tucker on a very unusual contract. The structure of this contract really had not been seen before, and it's 4 years and $240 million to have him play right field for them. And what's unusual about that is typically, he probably could have gotten $700 million on a 10-year deal, or the way things are going, but this seems to set a new precedence where he has opt-outs. After 2 years, he has opt-outs where he might reset and gamble on making even more money on a new contract. So I don't know.
It sounds smart to me. I mean, get a chance to go for a World Series ring with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Then when everybody's old and bailing and they're having to start paying these guys, then he can just cash in somewhere else.
Yeah. But of course, is that going to be kind of a new normal? I mean, are we going to see more and more of those types of deals? Because I
don't think it'll be forever. And there aren't, they did that because there's only like one. Oh, that's a lot. Do you think he'd have made $700 million, Kyle Tucker?
Let's put it this way: he shouldn't. He's not even remotely as good as Juan Soto. He's not as he's a very good player. Now, don't get me wrong; he's a very good player. He makes the Dodgers a lot better, but he's not on the level of Ohtani, Judge, or Soto. I mean, he's not. He's
never really had the consistency of any of those guys.
Well, I think that maybe the club, the Dodgers, might have been interested in this more so than Tucker, just because of the specter of the CBA. Because if they by chance were to implement a ceiling and the Dodgers had to offload some cash, I mean, there has to be some reliefs coming from somewhere. I mean, they might trade somebody like Mookie Betts back to the Red Sox or something like that, in desperation if they had to shed salary, but they don't want to be locked in.
Probably have to eat some of that money too, though.
Yeah, they probably would. But okay, so the deal that Bo Bichette made with the Mets is very similar. It's not quite as much money. It is insane. It's 4 years, but he can opt out after every year. So it's a little bit more.
I never thought Bo Bichette was all that good, but
yeah,
it's not up to me to pay him.
Right. Well, the Blue Jays have become sort of they're a very good franchise, and they've turned out some really good players, and he happens to be foremost among them, I guess. But they had.
Well, you got Guerrero Jr.
Yeah. Right. Right. He's probably their superstar, but I thought the Cubs off season was interesting. They basically not approached Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki about contracts, even though they're up after this year. but so they, who knows what's going to happen with them? But they did go out and they were players for Tucker to bring him back, and they were players on a couple guys, but I guess their consolation prize may have been Sean Bregman, who's still a very good player, but he's
Alex
done.
Bregman.
Yeah, Alex Bregman. I'm thinking of our old pitcher from the Sean Bresnan, I guess. But yeah, Bregman. He's probably got a little bit of, he's going to help their lineup, and they're going to be a good team. But the trade that I really liked that they made was for Edward Cabrera. That guy, he has electric stuff. And not to get into the fantasy too much, but remember last year we both had him at different times and kind of gave up on him. And he was a dollar player.
I gave up on him almost right away.
Yeah, and I traded him for the pitcher from Pavetta.
Yeah,
remember it was Pavetta.
Yep.
And Cabrera, he didn't get the wins, of course, and his ERA was a little bit higher. But I think in Chicago he might be a sleeper. He might do a pretty good job.
He didn't get many wins, but at least his ratios sucked.
No, his ratio was good last year, though.
Oh, you mean his whip?
Yeah, his whip. Yeah. But he didn't get many wins at all. I mean, he just,
Was it Miami he was with?
Yeah.
Who else did Chicago sign? I feel like they had a bigger.
Well, let me look here.
Chas McCormick. Yep.
Well,
both those former. They couldn't get Kyle Tucker, former Astro, so they got his outfield mate.
Yeah. Well, of course they got Pete Crow Armstrong out there. I mean, and did he win Rookie of the Year?
I'll find out.
Moisey Ballesteros is going to be DH for them. So I don't know. They're Matt Shaw. They're a little bit thin, I guess, offensively. They got good players offensively, but if they have any injuries, I don't know how their reinforcements are.
It was the Drake Baldwin, and Nick Kurtz in the AL.
Yeah. So I thought, as far as I think they had a good enough winner where they're going to be, they're going to be in contention again. But
Armstrong really tailed off though after the All-Star game.
Yeah, he had a tremendous first half. He was on fire.
He was homering out of his mind, and then I think pitchers might have figured him out. I have to see what happens this year.
Right. Sort of like my guy, James Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was more consistent than Crow Armstrong, I thought.
Second half, he became a strikeout machine, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he struck out 200 times, I think. It's just, he needs to make some adjustments, but he's a good player. But some other things are going on. Dave Dombrowski threw Bryce Harper under the bus, and there's a war of words going now, and people are speculating that, Harper might get traded before his contract is up. We'll see about that. I guess Dombrowski was questioning whether or not he'll be an MVP caliber player again. Nothing like insulting your player on the eve of the season, like one of your best players.
Yeah, didn't they make him like a Philly for life, basically?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think they gave him a really long contract, and then they extended that.
Yeah. Well, they had released Nick Castellanos after trying to trade him desperately. Would have paid his salary for somebody to take him, which basically they couldn't do that, but they wound up getting stuck with it anyway, and Padres picked him up for the league minimum. He could help. I think the Pirates had a really good off season. That's kind of painful to say so because they have the pitching already in place to be, they have a very good young pitching staff, and if they can score a few more runs, they're going to be much improved, I believe. And the Reds signed Gino Suarez for a reunion.
Yeah.
We'll see. I like the Thunder in the middle of the order, but it's not going to help with the strikeout problem.
No,
That's
not at all.
So people need to temper their expectations, or as a Reds fan, I guess. But so in the AL, I kind of
I
just
think they finish ahead of Pittsburgh and behind everybody else in the division.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry,
I
I
don't
mean
know.
ahead of St. Louis and behind everybody else in the division.
Yeah, St. Louis is a shit show right now. They're looking for outfield help, and they're just kind of for one time in my life, they're twisting in the wind a little bit. So
Yeah,
first
time
time.
since the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, better enjoy it, I guess. But AL news. Did you want to go over some of those, or you got?
I want to look at some of Pittsburgh's moves.
Okay.
So who did they add? They've got Marcell Ozuna,
Yeah.
Brandon Lau,
O'Hearn. He's a good hitter.
and Ryan O'Hearn.
Yeah. I mean, they were rolling out guys like Jack Sawinski, who they just released today, I believe.
DFA'd him, yeah.
And Caminero, he never panned out. I mean, they gave him all kinds of chances. I mean, they had a pretty weak lineup, and I still wouldn't call it a premier lineup, but Brian Reynolds is a very good player.
Yeah.
Brandon Lowe. They've added Brandon Lowe, second baseman.
Yeah. Jose Urquidy, starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Bubba Chandler will probably make the rotation out of spring training.
They've got the password too from Boston.
The password?
Yeah, Josh Nixon Garcia.
That's a hell of a it's a hell of a nickname right there. I like that. But I can barely Josh Nixon Garcia. Yeah.
Just stinks. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right.
Nick York has been kind of a sleeper.
He's been like the hot he might be a, what do you call it when a prospect comes back?
Oh yeah, a beyond the hype or post hype.
Yeah, post hype. Yeah.
Yeah, post hype prospect. Yeah, he could make, some of those guys do. It finally clicks for him. So I do think the Pirates have done a pretty good job.
They made room for him, I guess, by getting rid of Ke'Bryan Hayes.
They found a sucker team to take Ke'Bryan Hayes, I think. But there are people on Red Zone that say, "Oh gosh, he must save 15 games a year with his glove." It's like
saves a few runs a year with his glove, but
yeah, I'm not diminishing.
15 games a year is a ridiculous assumption.
Yeah, well, I might be exaggerating, but
I've seen that community. You're not.
Yeah, right. But Hayes, give him credit. He is a good defender, and I thought when he came up, he hit a little bit his first half season. Came up in July, and he looked like, I don't know.
His first half of the Reds half of the season, you mean?
No, in Pittsburgh I had him as a minor league draft. So I was paying particular attention, and he hit like 9 home runs the second half of the year, and stole some bases and hit like 280 or something. It was like, oh, he looks pretty good. And he got drilled in the wrist like it's like opening day the next year, and he's not seemed to have been able to hit since then. So, but yeah.
All right. So you wanted to go into the AL? Are we still in the what inning are we in here?
We're still in the opener. So, but I don't know how long we've been on this particular phase. Let's see.
We're 20 minutes in.
Oh wow. Yeah, fuck the AL. Oh well, no. Okay, so let's just go. Let's just mention Pablo Lopez. He had a UCL tear that they revealed today. That's a huge loss for the Twins.
That sucks.
Alonso signs with the Baltimore Orioles. I kind of hated to see him leave the NL, but
Yeah.
makes the Orioles considerably better.
Twins already sucked.
Yeah.
They really suck.
Right. These are things that most of these things have happened over the last couple months. You know, Cody Bellinger re-signing with the Yankees. Our news section will get a lot more topical moving forward because this is all stuff that takes into account the whole off season. Brandon Nimmo apparently pissed off Francisco Lindor and found his way out of New York and into Texas. And
Lindor's hurt.
Lindor has the hamate injury that's plaguing Lindor, Holiday, and there's a third hamate casualty. I can't think of who that is at the moment.
I'll find it.
Corbin Carroll.
You're
Corbin
right.
Carroll, yeah. So Sean shit out of luck there, but all right. So I think it's an intriguing. The White Sox are probably the worst team we've seen in 20 years. I don't know how many games they won last year, but
the Rockies exist.
Well, the Rockies are right there with them, but they signed Austin Hayes. And Sir Anthony Dominguez might finally get a chance to be a full-time closer, but he'll probably get traded if he's successful anyway. So, so I'm sure there's an AL fan out there smacking his forehead that we missed something that's so obvious. But there's your AL news.
Yep. White Sox have Colton Montgomery and Chase Mydroth and pray for rain, I guess.
Yeah. I'm going to pause it right here for a second, Aaron. I'm going to go get a drink, and I'll be right back.
All right, I'll pee.
All right. So we move on to our reason for existing, and that is fantasy or rotisserie baseball.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed. So give me an update on your fantastic database. How has the additional 2 categories affected you having to do your draft prep database?
No, I spent about probably 4 or 5 hours one Saturday just adding it, and it wasn't that big a deal. It's already pretty modular. A longer term goal for me is to make it dynamic so I can just make up whatever categories I want to, and it'll figure it out for me. I just need to put in, the formula that you use to calculate whatever it is.
Right.
Whether it's a counting category or some sort of ratio. But today what I added was updating whether Fangraphs roster resource projects players to be on the opening day 26-man rosters, as well as the injured lists from a feed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did that an hour ago.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a thing of beauty. It's like a well-oiled machine. So I've tried to use it myself on draft day, as you do, and I got my own method. So sometimes I stumble through it, and I've had to not been able to adapt too well. But you take a lot of the projections from different sources, and you kind of bring them together to come up with a custom.
Yeah, well, I kind of show the minimum, the maximum, and the average of all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm using 8 sources. I'm skipping zips without DC, but I'm running zips with DC. So I'm using 8 out of my 12 possible.
Okay.
And I also added last year's stats in that comparison, but I don't use that in the calculations.
Yeah. Typically, 3-year stats give you a better picture of what a player how you might perform moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, Independent of like age factors and stuff like that. But I always thought that the database would be an awesome kind of like scoreboard for the draft, and we've thrown that out there, and I think the whole idea of the draft, everybody thinks they're pulling the wool over somebody else's eyes on a player or something. They don't want to see the anything that would,
Hunter Goodman was the big hole in everybody's draft last year.
yeah. But they just don't want to see.
There's a Hunter Goodman size hole in my roster, in Sean's roster, and in Bill's roster.
Yeah.
And Bill had the most measured, shrewd draft I've ever seen Bill have.
Right. I have to agree. He had what I would consider his best draft too.
That was a mind fuck, man.
Yeah. I think he had something to prove, and I felt like, that's why I kind of hoped he'd join us tonight to talk a little bit about it. But
yeah,
people don't know, but he did not like the idea of having keepers, and he really subscribed very heavily to the whole idea that you have scrubs and then you have stars. You might have 2 stars. You might have 24 scrubs, and these guys are interchangeable. So that's sort of a simplistic way to put it. But he took particular joy in cutting down his roster, and he's just very animated and fun guy they have around. But I feel like he really played it serious last year, trying to prove something. So
I'd say he won the draft.
Yeah,
he didn't win the league though.
Well, maybe we'll twist his arm to come on, because he does like to do podcasts occasionally. So I was hoping he'd be here tonight, but anyway, what do you think? How is it that Sean always ends up in contention, if not winning the league?
He's the most disciplined of the drafters.
Yeah.
He won't reach beyond his number.
And I've heard you say this before, that it seems that you look at reaching for a player to be like the biggest failure potential failure you could make, or mistake you can make, right?
In a draft, if you spend too much of your finite draft dollars on one guy, if they don't.
Yeah, but okay, I agree with that. If you have 25 players and you've overpaid on 14 of them, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But if you need a closer, or if you need somebody to steal bases in order to bolster a category where you perceive yourself to be deficient, I feel like maybe you can go over a little bit if there's a scarcity of that.
If you go over too much, though, it's gonna be a 1-year guy for you.
Yeah, but when you look at Sean's rosters, typically at the end of the season, you'll see a lot of $1 and $2 guys that are collecting saves or stealing bases or contributing to categories, and he's well under the value of those players. So that is probably the underlying reason.
He's got Ivan Herrera for $1, Robbie Ray for $1, Trevor McGill for $1.
Right. But identifying
a junior for $2.
Identifying who those players are at the end of the draft is the biggest challenge of draft day.
Well, making sure you have that money at the end of the draft is the biggest challenge of draft day.
Yeah. It kind of all goes, yeah. It all kind of goes together, but yeah. And it's my opinion that everybody in the league is much better at identifying talented players at that point than ever. Maybe not to Sean's level, but so it's pretty competitive. The difference between, like, I wound up finishing second, but I climbed from like 6th. I was like in 6th or 5th, maybe in August, mid-August. So
you leapfrogged a lot of people, but you didn't stand a chance at catching Sean.
I didn't, but in the back of my mind, I knew I didn't, but I was like, this is what we're playing for. You know, we're
Yeah.
playing to try to win. So I felt good about it. I felt good about catching Bill, especially since he
Yeah.
drafted so well.
He had that draft.
Yeah. Um, but it was a fun season. But looking forward to more. We're changing to that 5x5 format. How do you feel like that? How do you feel that affects the league? I know that you've worked it into your spreadsheet, but
Yeah.
as far as your strategy,
It's not, I mean, not really any different than before. There's just two more things you got to keep track of. Make sure that you get your Ks for your pitcher and your runs for your offensive players. And typically, your stolen base guys are also going to get you a lot of runs.
yeah.
In my case, Shohei Ohtani, I think he led the league in runs.
Well, yeah, I would not doubt that. There are players, you know, that will contribute in just about any category. You know, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's the one of them when you come to pitching and hitting.
yeah. But when we name this closers by committee, my thinking was the closer has always been like the missing link.
You're
You
always
gotta have
overpaying or chasing or lamenting. Yeah.
yeah, or somebody has one and they're holding that player hostage for your, you know.
Oh yeah, they got a shitty team but one good closer. And they
Yeah. So the world is always
King's
trying
ransom.
right. So
I've done that actually. I'm guilty.
yeah. It's a commodity that you gotta have. Even though, you know, you might say I'm gonna punt batting average. I'm not gonna give a shit as long as I have guys that hit home runs and steal bases. I'm gonna punt batting average. But even if you do that, by dumb luck, you still might end up fifth or fourth or fifth in batting average or something, just out of dumb luck. But if you punt saves, you know you're punting 12 out of 48 points, right?
Not
Or
anymore.
80, not anymore, because and that's what I'm getting to. Now that we have the strikeouts and the runs, that's going to diminish.
Actually,
the
it's
value.
11 out of, right?
Yeah, 11 out of my math's terrible here, but 22, 40, 80,
Yeah,
80 something.
yeah, 11 out of. It would have been 88. Now it's what? That's not right.
11 out of 88. Yeah. But now that you hit, it's 80 something. Let's
Okay.
But now that you have the strikeouts, that's going to lessen the impact of the closer ever so slightly.
Yeah, but closers do get a lot of strikeouts.
Typically they do. Yeah. There are some guys.
But it's going to increase the value of some pitchers that aren't going to get wins.
Mm-hmm.
Some starting pitchers and middle relievers.
Right. So that's going to affect everyone's strategy going into the draft this year. The one thing I wanted to mention is that there are some good online auctions if people are interested in a preview. Basically, there's the Labor National League only draft, which is February 28th through March 1st. It's online. We'll try to add links as those become available.
It's LABR, the League of Alternative Baseball Reality.
Yep. And then there's Tout Wars, and that's held March 14 through 15. And that one might even be better because it's closer to the end of spring training, and teams will have formed their rosters a little bit better by then. So
usually Labor and Tout both have mixed and AL only and NL only.
Yep. So
auctions.
Yeah, on Roto's
changing from 4x4 to 5x5, getting with the times, does kind of make our league more compatible with other leagues. It's
Yeah.
that 5x5's really become the standard. We're still
Yeah.
stuck in 1984.
Right. We were playing there's a version of the Reds called the 1869 Reds. They play the Barnstorm around here to this day, and they play by those rules,
Hmm.
like no gloves, underhand pitching, bases are different distances. That's what we're playing or have been
Yeah.
playing.
I think they had a game at Doral Field.
Yeah. Over you were with me. We just happened upon that one day, right? Just
I think I saw it online.
it was like I came upon it accidentally. I drove up to it and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Because it was more crowded than just a softball game or something. And I saw him that day. But
Awesome.
yeah, but we'll be talking more about the that and the Lebowski draft, which we'll be doing here shortly too,
Yeah.
in coming episodes. All right, so here we're on to middle relief. We're like in the middle of the ball game here, and so we like to take a breather and talk a little bit about the culture of baseball. And in this instance, can you remember the first ball game you ever attended, Major League ball game, Aaron?
George Foster Bat Day, 1977, Riverfront Stadium. My sister and I each got the full-size black Louisville Slugger with the gold lettering, and had it for years until it got waterlogged and ended up holding up the hood of a Chevy Chevette.
I remember that giveaway because I admired it. Anybody that had that, that was like, oh my God, George. I mean, Foster hit 52 home runs that year, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever gave away full-size bats again.
I don't think not like that. Not like everybody in the stand gets one. I got a Joey Votto bat that was, I guess it's like, I guess it's 32 ounces or something.
Okay, a real full-on bat. That's cool.
Yeah. But I had to go through all kinds of shit to get it. I had to go down to the stadium, show my ticket. Then ushered me down to a different area under the stadium, and it was.
Yeah,
It
they didn't make it easy, huh?
No, no. But Cincinnati's not exactly Chicago, so we didn't have any kind of bat massacre or anything like that with the George Foster bats. But they were cool.
No disco demolition.
No, I think if I recall, it seemed like that was his trademark. You didn't see players. Most players had the
natural looking wood.
Yeah, like a Louisville Slugger. But Foster
Kind
had
of
this
true.
black
He
bat.
was his black bat was like a trademark.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ken and I have met him a couple times down there at the ballpark. He's an ambassador, so he's always down there. He's really
Still the Reds home run leader for
That's
single
a good
season.
question. I thought Votto might have eclipsed him. I don't know though.
I mean, single season. Didn't he have 52?
Yeah, single season. Yeah, yeah, because I think Gino had 49.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2020, 2019, something like that.
It couldn't have been 20.
Yeah,
60 game season.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. The Dodgers have won a couple legitimate world championships since then, so we don't have that joke anymore in our hip pocket. But all right, so my first Reds game was, and I looked up the box score because I knew it was out, and yours was too. But there's a site out there that has every box score ever. If you wanted to look it up, so I found it.
Guessing we played the Expos, but I don't remember for sure. But I'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was October 1, 1978. It was Fan Appreciation Day, which is the last day of the year. There were 35,800.
Those are always fun to go to.
Yeah, because of giveaways. Giveaway. I think in the end they might give away a truck or something. But there's 35,840 people there. Reds won 10-8 in 14 innings. Tom Seaver started and pitched 8 innings, a 3-run baseball, struck out 8. The Reds had just acquired him. I guess it was 77. It was a mid-season trade in 77, I think. but he was still a very uh, top line pitcher. He was still an ace pitcher for sure at that time. But we're just getting ready to go, and Atlanta came in and scored 5 runs in the ninth off Pedro Bourbon.
Sweet.
So Bourbon was kind of like a rubber-armed reliever. He's a good innings eater, but he's an example of a close. Well, he wasn't really a closer, but he didn't get a lot of strikeouts. He wasn't on his game that day. So we sat back down, and there were 5 more innings to go. And Foster had hit a homer earlier in the game, and then he ended it in the bottom of the 14th with a 2-run homer. So taking that, and Foster was my favorite player at the time, but taking that, and Johnny Bench had hit a grand slam earlier in the game, and it was a very memorable game for that. But what was most memorable about it was just visiting the ballpark. I'd never been to it before, and the AstroTurf was not faded or anything. It was like a pool table, like a brand new pool table green. And what I loved about the stadium was that you could walk around the stadium and never lose sight of the ball game. If you're a young, energetic kid, you didn't want to sit there and watch the game. You wanted to run around and watch. So I got to see the game from every angle because I got up about the 3rd inning and just took off. And the people that had taken me to the game and were responsible for me, and I was 10 years old, fucking freaked the fuck out. They're like,
Sure.
where the fuck? They didn't enjoy the game at all. I was having the time of my life, but for me, it's like inexorably baseball reminds me of freedom, and like it's my thing, it's my time. Because of that experience, anything could have happened. It was a very probably dangerous thing. And when I finally hooked up with them again about 5 innings later, I could, their faces were just white. They thought, like, what the, I take them to one ball game. Now I got to report, that I lost their kid. But I didn't care because I was like, I didn't have any awareness about that. But I loved being at the ballpark that day. That was like the most, fan appreciation day. It meant nothing. I think the Dodgers won the division by 16 games or something, and didn't mean anything in the record book, but definitely it was left an imprint on me. So always remember that. Yeah. All right. So that we've somehow, even though we didn't do it in equal increments of 15 minutes, we somehow wound up with approximately 15 minutes to go for our featured segment of the podcast. So featured that I created
and that's called Fuck the American League.
Fuck the American League. That's right. That's right. How did you know? You're looking at the notes. No, it's not. It's not called Fuck the American League. It's called Always Be Closing. And I created a video for it, which I'm going to play.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
A, B, C. A, always, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
So, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, man.
Like that?
Bradledge footage in there.
Yeah.
Watch him get lit up.
I mean, because that's the nightmare scenario for a closer, of course, is serving up a game winner like that. But what I thought we would do, the closers by committee should take a couple of the more interesting bullpen situations in baseball any given week that we're recording and discuss them. Maybe one National League and one American League. Maybe I'll go first. So, Aaron, you wanted to take a minute to look at some.
Go ahead.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk first about the. Let's talk about the Diamondbacks. They're in the news today. Manager Torey Lovullo said that he doesn't have a predefined closer, but he wants to have one by the end of spring training. they had a guy that they thought they were going to open the season with, and his name was Andrew Southfrank. He was a left-hander. Had pretty good stuff. He had actually served a suspension for gambling, actually, and had getting it, had got his career back in order, and he was getting ready to open season as closer, and ended up injuring his arm on the first day of camp. He'll require Tommy John surgery, and he'll miss the rest of the year. So now we have kind of an open competition for the Arizona closer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Kevin Ginkle and what?
well, you got
Brandon
Ginkel,
Garcia.
right? They signed Paul Sewald the other day, and that's kind of
That's Sewald.
intriguing.
They got AJ Puck, right?
Well, he's injured.
Yeah.
Puck is injured. He's due back. He believes he'll be back before July. And of course, he's a very viable option. He's a lefty, but Lovullo has proven he's not disinclined to use a lefty. He's very intimidating, tall pitcher. His release point is very close to home plate. He has a tremendous slider. He had no problem closing games or setting up, but he's not going to be available
Curtis too. John Curtis could be in the mix.
Yeah, it's wide open, and Ryan Thompson. He's a side armor. He's sort of like Pedro Borbon. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he does induce a lot of ground balls. Right now, I feel like they signed Sewald.
The side-armed Rogers twin.
Yeah, right. Basically, anybody that has a good spring might emerge. But when I look at closers, I like to have an idea of what the manager has done in the past. How he uses the Diamondbacks used 17 different pitchers to close games last year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'd stay away for fantasy purposes from any Diamondback closer, I think.
I think I would spend more money on the guys on the DL than anybody that's on the active roster right now.
Yeah.
Because I think the best option of them all is the one they named the closer before he blew out his arm, and that is Justin Martinez. He might be the most talented pitcher aside from Corbin Burns on that team. I said Burnson, the actor. Yeah, but
he's third base in Major League, right?
Right. Yeah, he reshaped his career. Now he's back as a pitcher. But Burns is not going to be available either until June or something. But my prediction, I want to do predictions on these. I think they want it to be Sewald, and unless he has a terrible spring, they'll probably come out of spring with him as the closer. But Ginkel will probably get saves, even if that's the case, because Lovullo will shake up his bullpen. He will do matchups and things of that nature. So I wouldn't go more than $9 or something on either of those guys, and that'll be kind of a desperate grab. But we know in our league, anybody gets saves or even gets a hint of saves, it's going to inflate their price. But
yeah, can throw these guys out there to soak up some auction dollars.
Mm-hmm. So you got a team?
There's several to look at here. Washington looks like a up in the air kind of shit show.
Mm-hmm.
So they got Ferrer went to Seattle, right? He was their closer last year, and they got Harry Ford, which is awesome. But now they're stuck with Cole Henry, PJ Pauline, and Clayton Beater, none of whom I know much about.
Yeah. I was surprised they traded the incumbent.
Yeah,
just
Ferrer.
because I know that you want to. They're in full rebuild mode right now. They also traded their starting lefty, their ace. Can't think of his name.
Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore. So they're in full rebuild. They know it's going to be a long season, but it's so. Farrar was doing a really good job, and it's like you can always trade him mid season, probably maybe even get more for a guy like that. And it's so demoralizing to lose games. You know, when you win so few games, it's demoralizing to lose them when you have a chance because of a blown save. So
Yeah, but Harry Ford is he's supposed to be a big deal of a prospect.
Gary Ford, okay.
Yep.
I must admit I don't know a lot about him. I'm assuming he's got a big fastball and some sort of.
I think he's named after Harrison Ford.
Oh, that's not bad. I'd take it over Huey, I think. Okay. Well, yeah, Washington. So apparently, so that's who you're predicting? Maybe might be the long term answer. Harry Ford.
No, he's a catcher.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's who they got for Ferrer.
Okay. It's always be closing.
Yeah. But I mean, it was worth getting rid of Ferrer potentially if this guy's all he's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, Closer Monkey says Clayton Beater. So I'll go. I think Roster Resource said the same thing.
Okay. Okay. So.
But I mean, it could be anybody.
Yeah, it's wide open. But that's where guys like Sean and Rodney tend to make their. I mean, they tend to snag those guys that turn into the closers. But
You predict who's going to get traded at the deadline, and then you get the setup guy underneath them, right?
yeah. All right.
What team's going to suck and trade their closer?
Yeah. Well, if you're lucky, you get that team trades their closer to somebody where he becomes where he remains a closer.
Where he stays a closer, or he goes to the Dodgers and becomes the sixth inning guy.
Yeah. And then the setup guy they promote, you have him too. So then you get two closers for one. But that tends to be how it works for our perennial champion. But all right, so let's talk about the California Angels. I thought they're, when I first looked over their
California Angels. Wow.
Oh, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I stand corrected.
I prefer the California Angels myself.
California. Okay, all right. But Kurt Suzuki doesn't. He's a rookie manager, I believe. So he doesn't, isn't he? He didn't manage.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Former catcher for the Braves, and someone maybe the KC or somebody. But
Angels, I think.
Angels. Okay. So I don't really know what his tendencies are, but they have some potential down there. They had Kenley Jansen last year, but he's moved on to Detroit. They have basically Robert Stevenson. Yeah, Robert Stevenson, who I didn't even realize was still in baseball, to be quite honest. They signed him 3 years, $33 million. He's not really had any history of closing, but people seem to think he might take the job. But the guy I think that might take it is Kirby Yates. I think that guy, he has his split finger is just off the charts good. I'm surprised, he has dealt with injury and stuff like that, but in recent years, but in his stint with the Dodgers, he closed at times there, and he still looked like a really good pitcher to me. I think they're kind of they also have Drew Pomeranz there, who had a bounce back season with.
Kirby Yates is about to turn 39 years old, though.
That is up there, isn't it?
Pomeranz is 37. So.
Yeah. But Ben Joyce, I think he's the long-term answer. But he's trying to rehab from a shoulder injury, and who knows where that's going to go. I think that they want him to be the man, but they have some good options there late in the games, maybe better bullpen than they've had in recent years overall. So, but I'm going to stick with my prediction, say it's going to be Yates early on in the season. He'll be on a short leash. But we'll see how that goes. So, Aaron, you got one more?
I say Bob Steve takes it.
You think Bob's? Well, they're paying him like it. That's the one thing. If you're going to pay somebody $33 million over 3 years, it's like they're paying for it, that intention. So,
Yeah. How about those St. Louis Cardinals?
That's a good one.
Got looking at Riley O'Brien. Is he the closer?
Well,
Jojo Romero.
yeah, he has some experience, but he really fell on his face in Philadelphia.
Yeah. And Matt Swanson.
Yeah, I think O'Brien's one of the guys I saw is going to pitch in the WBC. But yeah, their pin is Justin Brule's down there. I think I really think O'Brien might be the guy for right now. They did have Liberatore.
I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of wins to be closing, to be honest.
Yeah. Didn't they have Liberatore closing some games?
He's their opening day starter now.
Yeah, I know. But they have this, it's a different regime, but they have this history of taking.
They had him in the bullpen. I don't know if he was closing or not. He might have.
Seems to me he was. But they've done things like that with not Chris Carpenter, but Wainwright. They came back and forth. I don't think we're going to see that here. They're just too young. They're not trying to.
No career saves, it looks like. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Riley O'Brien. How about you?
I'll say Jojo Romero just to make it interesting.
Romero had some really good years in the American League. I mean, if he does, last year I think I read that he had a finger injury. So, it's conceivable that he'll rebound. I don't know what his age is, but I think that's a decent possibility, Aaron. I think Romero has a chance, but
Bill's got him for $1.
Well, that'd be good for him
in an option year.
Yeah. All right. Well, the closers have spoken. Always be closing. It's sure to be more interesting as the season goes on and we have real current baseball to analyze. But
I don't think we resolved any of these closer issues, actually. They're still up in the air.
Well, they are going to play the games. I've learned that much. They're not just going to, listen to our advice, but they will play the games regardless of the
cacti and the grapefruits start up in just over 2 days.
Sweet. I'm ready for it too, buddy.
Yes.
Right. So let's go ahead and close it out for this time. And hopefully I can find the right outro. And we'll meet again on our cadence. I don't know. It's not going to be every 2 weeks or anything, but we'll pepper these in every once in a while. So we'll see you next time.
Don't swing outside the zone.